President Trump has fired James B. Comey as director of the FBI, citing Comey's handling of the agency's investigation into Hillary Clinton's private email server. Through a Tuesday memo by Deputy Attorney General Rod J. Rosenstein, the White House cited two key developments in the investigation. The first was Comey's news conference on July 5, 2016, when he announced that the FBI would not recommend criminal charges against Clinton for her use of a private email server as Secretary of State. Rosenstein wrote in his memo, "The director was wrong to usurp the Attorney General's authority on July 5, 2016, and announce his conclusion that the case should be closed without prosecution. It is not the function of the director to make such an announcement. At most, the director should have said the FBI had completed its investigation and presented its findings to federal prosecutors." The other was a letter Comey wrote to members of Congress on October 28, 2016, notifying them that the FBI was resuming its email probe. Comey defended this decision, saying that not disclosing the information would have been to conceal the information. Rosenstein challenged Comey's view, arguing that quietly opening an investigation is not concealing anything. "We are simply following the long-standing policy that we refrain from publicizing non-public information." Based on Rosenstein's letter, in which he said Comey's decisions were indefensible and damaged the credibility and reputation of the agency, Attorney General Jeff Sessions recommended Trump remove Comey. Trump dismissed Comey later that day. This made us wonder, how does the decision by Trump and Sessions in May 2017 comport with their rhetoric about Comey's handling of the investigation? On July 5, Comey announced that Clinton was extremely careless in handling classified material, but investigators did not find intentional mishandling of classified information. Then Attorney General Loretta E. Lynch had said she would accept Comey's recommendations, amid criticisms of her private meeting with Bill Clinton while the investigation was still underway. That evening, Trump said he was surprised by Comey's recommendation, saying he believed Clinton had criminal intent. He implied the former president influenced the investigation by meeting with Lynch. But when asked whether he'd fire Lynch and Comey, Trump didn't give a definitive answer. Trump repeatedly criticized Lynch and Comey, but not for the reasons he'd used to fire Comey 10 months later. Instead, Trump thought Comey should have brought criminal charges against Clinton, tweeting it was a rigged system. "We are going to get rid of these fools that are running our country. They are fools. We are not going to go 4 more years that even the FBI today talks so horribly about this person, to a point where you said how can you possibly say no charges? What they said and what he said today was so bad." Rally in North Carolina, July 5, 2016. The Attorney General comes out and the Attorney General says, "No charges." That's bribery, wouldn't you say? That's bribery. "You're not supposed." She said she's going to reappoint the Attorney General and the Attorney General is waiting to make a determination as to whether or not she's guilty, and boy, was that a fast determination. Wow. Rally in Ohio, July 6, 2016. Neither was Sessions immediately critical of Comey's decision to make the announcement separate from Lynch. He said it was a difficult case. From his July 7, 2016, interview on Fox News with Greta Van Susteren. Van Susteren, based on what you know, would you have recommended, to the Department of Justice, like Comey? And I should say this, Director Comey used to be a U.S. attorney himself. But would you have recommended prosecution or not? Sessions, Greta, honest to goodness, I couldn't say because I haven't studied the facts. The facts are very important in these cases. Director Comey is a skilled former prosecutor, now the head of the FBI. And I have respected him over the years. But this was a difficult case. I think it clearly could have gone the other way. Van Susteren, I really appreciated his transparency. You know, I thought the American people wanted to know how he arrived at what his opinion was and how he arrived at it. And I thought that, the other day, he spoke freely and then today answered questions for 5 hours. You know, I tip my hat to him for that. Sessions, it's not him that has the problem. It's Hillary Clinton. 2 weeks later, Sessions still didn't criticize Comey for acting out of line. From his July 20, 2016, interview on Fox News. Shannon Bream, all right, so as a one-time prosecutor, is that the end of it? Is intent necessary? There's been a big debate about that with these particular potential, statutory violations that she's been accused of, at least in the court of public opinion. Sessions, well, I've not studied the facts, but it does appear to me that she was aware that she should not use this system for classified information. And the director says she was extremely careless. Now, that's very close to criminal intent. And there's a misdemeanor charge that requires less intent. They could have brought that perhaps. They did not use the grand jury where the witnesses are brought before the grand jury and asked questions under oath on the record. That can strengthen a case, too. But really the problem is Hillary Clinton. This much is clear, President Trump's stated rationale for firing James Comey makes no sense. The president justified the FBI director's abrupt dismissal on Tuesday with a memo from Rod Rosenstein, the Deputy Attorney General, in which Rosenstein systematically laid out an indictment of how Comey handled the investigation into Hillary Clinton's use of a personal email address and private email server while she was Secretary of State. Rosenstein charged that Comey had usurped the Attorney General's authority by publicly recommending making no charges, overstepped his bounds by criticizing Clinton during a press conference, and then alerting Congress about newly found emails on the eve of the election. These may be good reasons to question Comey's leadership and even to remove him, but it is all but impossible to believe that Trump believes them, because Trump has criticized Comey for dealing with Clinton too lightly all along. The day that Comey announced he was not recommending charges against her, Trump tweeted notably, Comey's lengthy dissection of Clinton's errors in that news conference offered Trump lots of ammunition to attack her. In October, Trump said, baselessly, that what was just found out is the Department of Justice, the State Department, and the FBI colluded, got together, to make Hillary Clinton look less guilty and look a lot than she looks. In his memo, Rosenstein complained that Comey had broken the long-standing policy that we refrain from publicizing non-public information with his October 28 letter to Congress, which Clinton has blamed for costing her the election. But Trump, at the time, was full of praise. It took guts for Director Comey to make the move that he made in light of the kind of opposition he had where they're trying to protect her from criminal prosecution. You know that. It took a lot of guts, Trump said at an October 31 rally. I was not his fan, but I'll tell you what he did, he brought back his reputation. He brought it back. Another fan of the decision was Jeff Sessions, then a senator from Alabama and top Trump surrogate. He had an absolute duty, in my opinion, 11 days or not, to come forward with the new information that he has and let the American people know that, Sessions told Fox Business at the time. Yet in a letter attached to Rosenstein's memo, Sessions, now the Attorney General, told Trump that for the reasons expressed by the Deputy Attorney General in the attached memo, he recommended firing Comey in order to reaffirm the Justice Department's commitment to long-standing principles that ensure the integrity and fairness of federal investigations. Couldn't Trump have had a change of heart since October? Theoretically, sure. But he was still criticizing Comey for being too light on Clinton just a week ago. Taking Trump's rationale for the firing at face value would require believing that the president had reversed a deeply held belief in the course of just a week. Trump has had some notable flip-flops, as on Syrian intervention, but few so plain or abrupt. In a combative CNN interview Tuesday night, Trump spokeswoman Kellyanne Conway herself suggested that the Clinton material was mere pretext. This has nothing to do with the campaign from 6 months ago, she told Anderson Cooper. This has everything to do with the performance of the FBI director since the president has been in the White House. Trump himself contradicted the stated rationale, too. He wasn't doing a good job. Very simply. He was not doing a good job, the president told pooled reporters Wednesday morning, his first non-Twitter comments on the firing. If Trump did not fire Comey for being too mean to Hillary Clinton, then why did he fire him? It is impossible to know the president's mind, and given the suddenness of the dismissal, it's difficult to get a complete picture of the process. Even some White House staffers seem to have been surprised, and Comey, who was at an FBI office in Los Angeles, reportedly believed the news to be a prank when he first heard. The answer to which many observers, including members of Congress from both parties, immediately gravitated was that Trump is attempting to meddle in the FBI's investigation into Russian interference in the election. Democrats were direct, calling it a constitutional crisis. Senator Richard Blumenthal of Connecticut said, President Trump has catastrophically compromised the FBI's ongoing investigation of his own White House's ties to Russia. That earned Blumenthal a morning broadside from Trump, who attacked him for exaggerating his Vietnam War record. But Republicans also voiced that worry. John McCain, a frequent Republican Trump critic, said in a statement, I have long called for a special congressional committee to investigate Russia's interference in the 2016 election. The president's decision to remove the FBI director only confirms the need and the urgency of such a committee. Senator Bob Corker of Tennessee was somewhat more oblique, saying, it is essential that ongoing investigations are fulsome and free of political interference until their completion. North Carolina's Richard Burr, who chairs the Senate Intelligence Committee examining Russian interference in the election, added, I am troubled by the timing and reasoning of Director Comey's termination. I have found Director Comey to be a public servant of the highest order, and his dismissal further confuses an already difficult investigation by the committee. Meanwhile, Trump was plainly enraged by the Russia investigation. He has tweeted angrily about it on multiple occasions, and called it a charade. While stories about Russia had emerged in a consistent drip since well before the election, Comey's March 20 testimony before the House Intelligence Committee was a turning point, as the director told members not only that the FBI was looking at Russian interference, but also whether the Trump campaign colluded in it. On the same occasion, Comey said there was no evidence that President Obama had tapped candidate Trump's phones, as Trump has alleged without evidence. Trump made a curious reference to the Russia probe in his letter to Comey. While I appreciate you informing me, on 3 separate occasions, that I am not under investigation, I nevertheless concur with the judgment of the Department of Justice that you are not able to effectively lead the Bureau, Trump wrote, explicitly drawing a line between the investigation and Comey's firing. Some news reports have already directly connected the Russia investigation with Comey's firing. Trump had grown angry with the Russia investigation, particularly Comey admitting in front of the Senate that the FBI was investigating his campaign, and that the FBI director wouldn't support his claims that President Barack Obama had tapped his phones in Trump Tower, Politico's Josh Dorsey wrote. Michael Schmidt of the New York Times reported that Sessions had been charged with coming up with reasons to fire Comey, even though Sessions recused himself from the Russia probe after admitting he failed to disclose a meeting with the Russian ambassador to Congress. The Times further reported on Wednesday that days before he was fired, Comey had requested a significant increase in money and personnel for the Bureau's investigation into Russia's interference in the presidential election. Comey made the request of Rosenstein, and also told members of Congress, the paper said. Dorsey and CNN's Gloria Borger both also reported that Roger Stone, an old Trump friend who is under investigation by the FBI for ties to Russia, had urged the president to fire Comey. Trump denied that in a tweet Wednesday morning. During an appearance Tuesday night on Fox News, White House spokeswoman Sarah Huckabee Sanders made the demand to end the investigations into Russia explicit.